So if you go into any pond shop across the country, especially in the UK, it's mind-blowing the amount of products on the shelves that all claim to do the same thing. But the problem is they're not fixing the source. So no matter how many times you buy them, it's always going to be a waste of money because the problem will keep coming back. So today's video is all about the top 5 pond products that you absolutely do not need. If you're new to the channel, I own a company called Simply Ponds Limited. This is our YouTube channel and I'm the Pond Man. Hello! So there's one thing that winds me up the most. It's the amount of products available out there to try and solve water quality problems. And if you watch to the end of the video, I'm going to go through with you our secret methods. Actually, they're not so secret and you'll be kicking yourself after all this time if you didn't know it already. I've got a method I'm going to share with you that will fix this problem forever. Sound too good to be true? Well, it isn't. Trust me, I used to be that annoying salesman. Selling pond treatments is one of the easiest sales in the world. People just love buying a treatment that says it will solve your problem. So as soon as you buy it, it makes you feel good. As soon as you walk out the shop, you think that your problem's solved. Unfortunately, it doesn't take long. A few months' time, you're back in the shop, spending more money and emptying your pockets. So I'm not saying the treatments don't work. To be honest, most of them, they do kind of, but it's generally speaking, very short term. Along with our easy to follow guide at the end, I'm going to share with you 2 of the products we only recommend that you're ever going to need to put in your shed. So we aren't picking on any manufacturers in particular. This is just a general video to help people make the correct purchases and buy only what they need to. Okay, so I'm going to go through 5 products. Let's get stuck in with the first one. So barley straw. Now, the amount of barley straw we've actually taken out of people's ponds because it just hasn't done anything. It's unbelievable. So most of the time, people will buy barley straw if they're trying to remove blanket weed or algae in a pond. So barley straw, to be honest, is probably one of the biggest fads out there. It's also a double-edged sword. So for barley straw, for it to work, it needs to break down and pretty much become quite sludgy for it to actually start doing what it's meant to do. So obviously people want to have a clear pond and sludge free, but then you need to put barley straw in and it has to break down for it to work. So as it breaks down, all it does, it blocks up your filters, blocks up your pump and makes a mess anyway. So what is the point? And most of the time, it just doesn't work. People don't leave it in for long enough. There's probably other issues causing blanket weed problems or algae problems in there that barley straw just simply won't cut it. So I'm not saying barley straw doesn't work. There's a particular type of pond for it to work on. Now I used to work on a trout farm many years ago and we used to put tons of the stuff in these huge lakes. We used to put them in big rings around huge islands. They would sink and break down in the bottom and do their thing. Out of view, obviously the water wasn't always clear, people couldn't see them and they tend to work better on a more natural type of pond. So barley straw is one of those products you easily get conned into buying, especially if you want to have clear water to see your fish. It just doesn't work, it makes a mess and it's a waste of money. Okay, so the next one is pond filter starting chemicals or Pond Bomb. Now, Pond Bomb, I mean, what a name. It's brilliant. You've got to give the manufacturers of the sales team a pat on the back or a little pay rise for that. I mean, it sounds so good. You buy your Pond Bomb, chuck it in the filter, and then what? Boom! Like, filter's sorted, you can chuck all your fish in, off you go, happy days. So I'm not suggesting that these don't work, I'm just suggesting that lots of people don't do it properly. They may put a Pond Bomb in, for instance, in the filter system, then put all their fish in on a brand new pond, and then after a little while they're wondering why it's not working. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work that way. I did do a video on the subject a little while ago. I'll put it in the comments below. It's more about like what is actually in these additives. Is it actually bacteria or is it a controlled amount of ammonia that you put in the filter? And then obviously as ammonia is there, the bacteria will start to turn up and break down the waste. So all we would say when using an additive like this is be patient. Don't expect them just to magically work. If it was us, we'd recommend, if you're starting a new pond particularly, get some cheap goldfish, put them in the pond, you know, let them mature your filter for you. It might take 2, 3 or 4 months and take things nice and slowly. So the next one on the list is if you've got cloudy water or adding a treatment to clear your water. So if you have a cloudy water pond, there's something else causing the problem. So you could put a treatment in, it generally won't last long at all. And in a few months' time, you'd be adding another one in, and again, still not fixing the problem. So all we recommend is to try and find out what that problem is. Now, watch till the end of the video. method we go through pretty much covers all aspects. We'll sort this problem out too. Okay, so the next one on the list is green water treatments. Now this is another huge waste of time. Again, if you've got problems with green water, it's an algae in the water. So how is the algae getting there and why isn't it going? All green water is microscopic algae. It's just free floating around in the water. Even if you have a filter system, it's too small and it goes straight through the filters and just keeps floating around the water, giving it the green soup appearance. So again, you can add a treatment which basically helps stick all the algae together, and then it gets caught in the filter, leaving the water clear. But again, this won't last long and you'll be fighting a losing battle. Stick around. At the end, I'm going to show you how to sort this problem out too. Okay, the next one on the list is sludge or silt removal treatments. So silt removal, sludge buster, whatever you want to call it, it's probably got to be one of the biggest ones that just doesn't work, especially when you've got lots of silt or sediment in your pond. Speaking of silt and lots of it, just want to show you a couple of ponds we were working on in the last couple of weeks where we were called in to actually remove silt and waste out of a pond. So as you can see, we removed a hell of a lot of sludge and silt. We must have been over 100 tons of silt we took out of a series of ponds at someone's house in Surrey. Now just look at the sheer volume and how thick this stuff is. There is no product, I'm telling you now, out there that could ever remove the amount of sludge from this pond as what we've done manually. It's impossible. If you have a small amount, perhaps some of it might help to reduce some of it, but when you get to a point, especially in vast amounts like this, there's only one way of doing it, and that is to dredge the water. So let's just have a look at what this particular, I'm not going to say which one it is, but there's a brand out there that recommends to obviously use this to remove silt. So on the packet it reads, obviously if you read this and you're going to buy it, it sounds amazing. So people do buy it and it doesn't work. So a bulk treatment for transformation of organic silt via special high performance bacteria. Gentle cleaning without refilling or pond dredging. So gentle cleaning without refilling the pond or dredging. That is just not going to happen. So again, be careful what you buy. Now again, I'll show you how to fix this problem at the end of the video. Okay, so the next one on the list is water dechlorination units. As you can see, it's a large unit, they're not cheap. You connect basically onto your hose pipe and into your pond. As the tap water goes through the unit, it filters out pretty much everything in the tap water and removes chlorine, all metals, minerals, everything like that. Now, actually, that doesn't sound too bad, does it? Well, unfortunately, the problem with these things is once you've removed everything out of the water, it's actually no good for your fish. Fish need minerals and also metals and things like that in the water for them to survive, especially the UK ornamental fish like carp, goldfish, all those types of fish need to have a certain amount of minerals in the water. Now, tap water, funnily enough, actually has a really good amount of minerals, especially for UK fish to live in. So it's actually very good for them to have. Using one of these units basically means once you've taken everything out of the water, you then have to buy another treatment to put everything back in. So it's very counterproductive and it's a complete waste of time. You do not need to worry about buying one of these units. So a good way around it is you can buy just liquid, anyone that's got a pond knows you can buy a dechlorinator in a bottle. So it's a liquid treatment, which obviously works pretty well. You only need to really treat the whole pond. So if it's a brand new pond and you're putting brand new water in for the whole thing, then you can treat it. If you're just topping up evaporation, we also did a video on this as well, you do not need to use dechlorinator. So if you're doing a tiny water change or a little bit of evaporation, there's no need to add anything in. The chlorine or whatever's in the tap water will just dissipate into the rest of the water and cause absolutely no damage or harm to your fish or your filter system. You can also, if you want, blast your tap water into the pond and any chlorine in there will gas off into a safe form. So don't worry about tap water. It sounds bad, but it actually is pretty good for your fish, especially for the mineral content, and it also buffs that pH, you'll keep it nice and level. So that's all the treatments. Let me know in the comments below if there's any other ones that you want us to cover. More than happy to do so. Okay, now I'm going to go through simple procedure, how to keep your pond in absolutely perfect order all year round without wasting any money on these treatments we've just been through. Okay, so let's just presume this is a new pond. Whatever pond you build, try and accommodate somewhere for some plants. Plants are natural, plants use up nutrients, plants use up phosphates. That's also the same food that blanket weed and algae, which causes green water, use. When you have plants in your pond, try and keep them on a large shelf in a big pot. Also, we did a video on how to pot them properly so they don't make a mess, so your fish can't get into them, and also makes maintenance a lot easier when you need to take them in and out at the end of the year. Okay, the next thing is use a decent, solid handling, low maintenance pond pump. And when you build the pond, try and have a deeper spot in the pond where the pump can sit. Basically, all the dirt will eventually find its way down to the deeper spot where the pump sits. The pump will then suck all the dirt and sediment out and send it into your filter system. Doing it this way will remove any sediment and silt from the bottom of your pond, preventing large buildups. Ensure that you have a decent filter system in place. This is really, really important. And make sure it's big enough to cope with the amount of fish and the water you have. Again, on the channel, we've got videos that cover how to match up the correct size filter for your pond. Having the correct filter system in place will also cure any sediment in the water, such as cloudy water problems. So when it comes to maintenance for your filter system, try and backwash it or clean it out maybe every 3 or 4 weeks, or just before the filter system blocks up. You need the filter to be dirty, just not blocked. Okay, so the next important thing is you need to have a good UV light system on your pond. The UV light will sort out any green water problems. Okay, so the next problem. So let's say you've got an old pond and you've bought the correct size filter system, you know, top of the range, everything's the right size. It probably won't work, okay? Depending on how much dirt's in the pond, you're probably gonna need to have the pond cleaned. If you have the pond cleaned, technically it's a new pond, but it'll help you keep on top of maintenance afterwards. So have the pond clean. If there's lots of sediment in there, put the filter system on at the same time, then maintenance after that will be a lot easier. The next thing, you may have a good filter system, the pond's been fine for years and years and years, then all of a sudden, you know, you're struggling with brown water or green water. If it's brown water, you probably have too much sediment in there. Perhaps your fish have got into your plants. You might need to have a look at that, might need cleaning. If it's green water, perhaps your UV is not working anymore. And if it's water quality problems or both, and you've got lots of fish, perhaps the fish have got too big for the pond, you may need to upgrade your filter system or reduce the amount of fish levels in there. And also, when it comes to fish levels, this is very, very important. You need to make sure you do not overstock. If you have too many fish in your pond, it can cause massive problems with water quality and also discoloration issues as well. Important just to keep nice low stocks if you can and don't overfeed them. Okay, and we're not sponsored by these, by the way, but there's 2 products, like I said in the beginning of the video, that you're probably only ever going to need to buy. And the one is if you're doing a full water change and you need to add a dechlorinator, we use Blagden Clear Pond, always use that one. And the next one you're probably going to need, if you've got clear water, Blanket Weed loves clear water. We always recommend use Cloverleaf Blanket Answer, and I'll leave a link in the description below. You probably only need to use that once a year or maybe twice a year depending on what season we have. But if you see it growing, put it in there. That'll get rid of any blanket weed. Your filter system will keep everything nice and clear. Do your regular maintenance. Don't overfeed, don't have too many fish, and there's not much that can go wrong with your pond, I promise you. Anyway, there you have it. I hope this helps. If it has, if you enjoyed the video, click on the like button. If you haven't already, consider subscribing. Stay tuned for some more. Thank you for watching.